we doing, guys? I hope you're all good. Today I'm going to be making a 3D environment in Blender. As you've seen, I was really inspired by this from the London Underground. I think there's a interesting duality for my experience in the Underground where it's unpleasant. I don't enjoy being there, but I also really like the design and grunginess. You know, it's dirty, disgusting, but there's something quite beautiful about that from a 3D perspective. So for my job, I predominantly work in 3D and motion design, and I think these two go hand in hand in the creative process. You know, we produce animations in softwares like After Effects or Touch Designer, and then we take that into a 3D environment to show it in a new context. You know, understanding how your animation moves at different scales is super important, and that is achieved through the use of 3D environments like Blender. And I think using Eevee is super beneficial for this and can really help you produce interesting work, really. And yeah, I think showing your work in multiple contexts, so you know, the animation itself and then in a 3D environment, it's just going to elevate your work. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll see you in Blender. Okay, so we're in our 3D environment. It's being rendered in Eevee, and this is kind of the setup we have. There's a few things going on, but it's pretty simple. I guess the main thing you're going to learn here is how to use materials and lighting that's going to play into Eevee's advantage. There's also some interesting modeling that goes on, so yeah, you'll learn how to do some quite interesting modeling techniques, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, we'll get into it. I'll hit save and load up a new scene. Okay, so we have our 3D environment, so we're just going to delete everything. We're going to start off with our bench, but first we need to bring in an image of a human just so we get some proportions. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to go Shift A, image, and we're going to snap him to the ground. We're going to want to bring in a plane, so we can actually hide him for now. So I'm just going to hide him. So we've got our plane. So what we want is to think about those dots that was on that bench. So to make a circle incision, we need to inset a face like this. So we have our plane, and now what we want to do is actually create an incision or a circle. So we're just going to right click and add a loop cut. So you can do Shift or Command R, and that's going to give you a loop cut. I'm going to select the 3 faces, and so add our incision, edit, preferences, add loop tools. I'm going to right click and add a circle, and we're just going to scale that in to a decent size. I'm going to hit Alt Z and just scale this to about there. Okay, so we have our circle. Go in here and our wireframe view, which is somewhere here, wireframe view, and we're just going to turn this down. Sorry, we're going to turn down the opacity. Okay, so now we want these to be replicated and scale evenly. So I'm going to go into our modifiers. I'm going to generate an array, and I'm going to generate an array of 4. I'm going to add a empty, and then I'm going to go back into the object, and I'm going to do object offset, go down and select that empty, and I'm going to go into the scale and just scale this down to something like 0.5. No, let's go 0.8. Okay, you see this this scale? We can probably go even more actually. Let's go to something like that. That's quite nice. Okay, select the object, apply the modifier. We can delete that empty. So this is not very useful to use because these points aren't connected. So we can snap points together in Blender with this little thing up here, snap with. And if we go vertex and hold down control and snap to the axes, if we go G, X, control, it's going to snap there. You see that? So G, Y, G, Y, control, G, Y, control. So if we select the face and hit L, that's going to select everything that's a link to that object. If you go Shift D and bring it up here, go to increments, G, bring this up, we can use this as a guide. So if we do this 3 more times, there we are. Now we can use this as a guide to snap these points to. So G, X, go out of increments, G, X, like so, just making sure everything's spot on. Select these points, G, X, G, Y, G, Y. You get the point by now. I'm just going to continue this across everything. So we've got our scaling elements. So I'm going to delete all of these. So click that vertex, L, X, delete vertices. So we've got our points, but we've got points overlapped now. So if we go M, hit M, merge by distance, this is going to merge all of the points that are on top of each other. So we've got one solid object now. What I'm going to do is go into our transform pivot point and go 3D cursor, Shift D, hit escape and go RZ180, and that's just going to flip it around like that. And then I can go GX and slide this across, GX, and just snap it to that point. So now we've got one overlapped. So if we go A, merge by distance, that's going to fix that problem. So now we've got this nice flowing transition between a small point and a larger point. I might even make these smaller, so I'm going to select them all, and then once I've got them all selected, I can go into the pivot point and go individual origins and just hit S and just bring that in. Okay, so now I want a grid or square grid of these. GX. Okay, so that's okay now. So I'm just going to save that and do stage 1 bench and just copy and paste that into there. And I'm going to go and add another collection. I'm just right clicking and adding new collection. I'm going to go archive elements, stage 1 bench. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to hide that, that's all good. Just going to go into edit mode, hit A and just merge by distance again just to double check. So again, we're going to generate an array and we're going to do that on the y-axis. So we're also going to hit merge and that's going to merge all the points. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Brilliant. So we've got a quadded out grid of points, which is brilliant. So what we want to do now is go back into the faces here and just select all of these, and we just want to make sure that by hitting K, all of these are lined up, enter K, all of these are lined up, so there's no polygons. Brilliant. Selecting all of these faces. Okay, all of our faces are selected. We're going to hit I and then enter and go down here, select outset, and we just want to outset this ever so slightly, something like that. We can, yeah, okay, enter. We're going to hit I again and enter, and we're going to turn off outset, and this is now an actual inset. And then what we want to do is just delete the vertices. Okay, now we need this to bend a little bit. So I'm going to add an empty in the center, and I'm going to go up into modifiers and deform. I need a simple deform there. So we've got some interesting geometry here. It's not what we're going for, but it's kind of cool. We're going to go into bend, 45 degrees should be good, and just select that empty. And then if we go over to the empty and just rotate this on the right axes, you see we're getting that effect. GY, we might get something better. Okay, so we want this to bend on the Y axis. So we're going to select Y, and then on the Y here, just want this to bend like so. This is obviously too much, so let's just flatten this out. Okay, I'm going to add a solid solid modifier. I guess we don't need to do that right now. Is this ergonomic? I think that's good enough. Okay, now we've got our curved edge. We can add a circle. So if we go mesh, circle, make sure it's got 8 vertices. Okay, and go X90. And now going back to vertex mode, we're gonna select this object, go G, and in edit mode, by pressing tab, you wanna select 1, and you just go G. Okay, for some reason it's not letting me snap, so I'm just gonna have to line this up as best as I can and go from there. So we're just gonna line these points up as best as we can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps. And along this edge, we're gonna hit 2 and select all of these points, all of these edges, sorry. Okay, then we're gonna go EX, so we're just gonna go back quickly. So GX, snap to that point, GZ, snap to that point, so EX, snap to that point, GZ, snap to that point, so EX, snap to that point, GZ, EX, GZ, brilliant. We can delete all of these now, and we can also delete this guide, delete the vertices. We can apply the transform and add a mirror modifier, and yeah, merge is already on. So this is stage 3 now, so every time you have to apply a modifier, it's good to just set that as a stage. So apply, select all of these points. So we want to go edit, because we've put something that now has a cavity. We want to just go into normals and just recalculate the normals. Maybe we need to be in edit mode. Yeah, custom normals. We can come out of X-ray view now, and we can add a solidify modifier. Brilliant. Like so. We can hit shade smooth, normals. Got some interesting artifacts here. That's probably because we need to go merge by distance, and maybe we need to go into our mesh, normals, attributes. Okay, we just needed to hit that. Okay, so I'm going to go into the modifier and just turn that off quickly and add a subdivision surface. And that's just gonna smooth these edges like so, shade smooth, and we can now turn that back on. So you see there's a bit of a problem here now. So we're gonna go up here and go Alt Z, select these edges and these edges. Gonna hit E, escape, turn off subdivision surface, and scale Y, and just hit that twice if you need to. And this just creates a supporting edge. You can go Shift E, and that's just going to make the edges nice and sharp. And we can now turn this back on, see what that looks like. Brilliant. Okay, so this edge, I'm going to hit 2 and go to edge mode, select this. I'm going to go Shift D, escape, right click, and separate by selection. So we've got 2 things now. I'm going to turn off subdivision on both of them because we don't really need it. So we've got an edge that we can continue things on, and we have our original object. So yeah, just turning both of those modifiers off for now. For this edge, we're just going to go into orthographic view and go E, Y, and just E, come on, sorry. This object, edit mode, A, E, Y, E, Y. Something that looks alright, that looks okay to me. On these edges, I'm just going to hit go bridge, edge loops, and then just hit F and Alt Command. I'm just trying things out and speaking them, so apologies if you're like, what the hell's going on here? But this is kind of the process, really. You just figure it out as you go along. F, K, Z, K, Z. You don't need to snap to Z. As long as it's snapping to a vertex, you're okay. So K, click, enter. K, click, enter. There is definitely a better way of doing this, but this is how I'm doing it. And then again, just filling that. Okay, this is good practice if you are interested in modeling. I think modeling's super powerful. If you're good at it, you can make a lot of money. One, select those, scale X, just bring that in a bit to help with this asset. Just bring that in. Okay, we're just gonna delete this and delete these points. I'm gonna go select an edge point, a point on this edge, this outside edge. Shift S, cursor to active. On the pivot point, 3D cursor. I'm gonna duplicate, escape, RX 180. That's gonna basically mirror it. I'm gonna hit A and merge by distance. So I've essentially just duplicated the other side, so it's now that. Okay. So going out of X-ray view, I'm gonna select the top down and like so. I'm gonna select these faces here. Okay. I'm gonna inset ever so slightly. So this is where we need the guy. This is where we need the guy. Where are you, guy? You're tiny. Why can't I see you? There's something weird going on with this, but we need to scale him up basically. So if this was the seat, he would be a lot bigger. We're gonna scale all of this down, so don't worry. He would be about this big. Probably something very weird going on with this, but yeah, probably about there. Okay, and they're usually about this high. So if we go back into this object and go EZ and just bring that down like that, and hide this guy again. So I'm just selecting all of these points. What's going on here? Okay, something weird. So go into X-ray view, select those vertex, scale Z, SZ0, 3, inset, select all of these faces on the other side, and select these. We're gonna go face, extrude along normals, scale what, something like that. That's a bit of a problem. That is a bit of a problem. Okay, we're just gonna fill these in now. Oops. I'm gonna go edge mode. That is wrong. Why is this vertex? Oh my god. Okay, go back. Okay. Gonna add a loop cut here. I wanna fill this. If you go, sorry, just Command F and go grid fill. It's just gonna do it for you. So we're gonna select these faces, go around the other side, select these faces, go to the side, face, extrude along normals, scale Y, scale this out. That's good. Just add some supporting edges. Okay. So we can turn the subdivision back on and see what it's looking like. But first we need a few more supporting edges, like so. Okay, so we need to select the outline of this geometry now. All the sharp edges we just want to be selecting. Brilliant. Go back up here and we don't need these. We're gonna let this smooth out a little bit from the sub D. Okay, turn the solidify modifier. Oh, we don't need a solidify modifier. And shift E and just, yeah, that's gonna harden it. That seems alright. That's what we're after. You probably could get away with these edges as well. Yeah. That's probably the best thing. Okay, solidify modifier seems to do its job. Brilliant. This should be good enough for now. So again, we're gonna go new collection. I'm gonna copy and paste that, paste into here. And what is it now for? Stage 4 bench. Okay, so we're now gonna join these by going join. That's gonna combine the modifiers, and we're gonna generate an array. Go 0 and yeah, 1. Hit 1 on the Y, and then we just want to bring it in until we're happy with it. It seems pretty good. Okay, let's apply the array. Let's go into vertex mode. So hit L, select everything that was linked to it, delete vertices, and that brings us back to quadded bench, and that's essentially it. Now we can go into the actual environment. So we're going to call this bench, and we're going to bring this back in later. So we're going to hide it. Hit N and just reset the 3D cursor. Okay, so now we need to make the actual background, the wall. So the way I did this was I initially had a plane like this. I just went into edit mode and I just inset it ever so slightly, and then just brought it up a little bit just to give it a bit of 3D like that. I then scaled it inwards with increments, so GY 4 times, 2 times GY on 2 increments like so. Then I added an 6 times. Let's go 7. Yep. Okay, then I added another. So add a second array. 1, 0. Add that 6 times. Okay, brilliant. This is what we want. So I just duplicated that. So Shift D, G, X, and held down Control, and then on this one I just did G, X, and brought that in, and we only want 1 for this. So Shift D, X, that snaps in like that, and then I just duplicated this again, and that is our wall. So I'm gonna make a new collection, wall. I'm gonna copy and paste that into here, and I'm gonna bring this out into the main collection. Okay, you can hide that. We can hit J, or maybe I have to apply all the modifiers. So if we go Command A, Command A, Command A, Command A, and just repeat that for all of these. Okay, so if I select this, go Shift, I'll go into edit mode, A, join, so Command J, edit mode, A, merge by distance, that's merged all the points. If we go U, Eevee unwrap, and project from view, that's a wall, and this is also a floor, so it's really simple. So GY, bring that here, so let's bring it back a couple. Okay, Shift D, Y, GY, and bring that across. RX90, G, Control, and just bring that in somewhere like that. So G, okay, a little bit of a gap, that's good. So let's just bring this on the cursor point. Okay, SY. So if we go 3D cursor, SY, it's just going to scale that outwards. Is that okay? It's probably not okay. Shift D, Y, GY, bring that in. That snaps like that. J, edit mode, A, merge by distance. So we've obviously got a little bit too much on the edges, but that's okay, not a problem. So we're going to call this wall, I'm going to call this floor. So we're going to add our bench back in now. I'm going to duplicate the bench, so like so, drop that in archive elements, and bring this up, scale it down, Z90, scale it up a little bit. Okay, let's add another bench along here, so Shift D, G, X, Shift D, G, GX, something like that. Let's bring it in a little bit closer. GX, like that, GX. Okay, now we want to add our screen, so we're going to go into edit, preferences, image to planes, save preferences, Shift A, image to planes, select our video, so I'm going to select this, just a random video, X90, GZ, GY, scale 5, going out of bound to bounding box center, just scale it up, head, scale, GX. Okay, now we can go into our shader view, and I'm just going to bring our shader editor on, and I'm just going to plug this into the emission as well. Set that to 3. In the world settings, I'm going to turn this down to black for now, and I'm going to hit new. I'm going to turn them all to metallic, see what that looks like. So I'm going to duplicate this in G, Z, Control, and that's okay. I'm going to go back into the 3D viewport, and I'm going to add a plane. I'm going to bring it over a little bit, scale X, something like that, Z90, GZ. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and before we do that, I'm just going to make sure it's nice and proportional to the camera. So if we go camera to view, snap that there, go something like that, maybe set that to 0, 0, 180, 90, you can bring this down a little bit, maybe you can turn off camera to view, come in, GZ, this up, something like that maybe, might be better. So we're going to go and scale it on the X a little bit and just apply all transforms. We go edit mode, inset, and then on the outside edges we're going to go EZ and hit F, and then EZ again and again. Okay, so we're going to hit A and we're going to assign a new material. We're going to call this box, and then we're going to assign, we're going to go into edit mode, select that face that we want for the light. So edit mode, select that face, hit 3I and go assign or new and assign, and we'll call that light. So for our box, we're just going to turn metallic up, turn the roughness down, color to something like that, and then for the light we're going to go to emission, set that to 3, and I'm just going to duplicate this. So I'm going to generate an array and just duplicate that, so bring it across until it's out of the camera like so. See what that looks like in rendered view. Okay, so we're going to go back into X-ray view, find our lights and add a area GY, kind of roughly center that, and then scale it on the X to cover that space. We go Shift D, X, Shift D, X, and just copy this across. So selecting all of our lights, we're going to hit L or Shift L and link the object data. So we go back into rendered view now. Whatever we do to one light should affect every light. It doesn't seem to do that. So Shift L, object data, Shift L. Why isn't that working? Okay, we're just gonna manually do this because the tutorial's getting on a little bit now. So we're gonna set all of this to 100, 100, 100, 100, like so. So we can go into ambient occlusion, screen space, reflections, bloom, motion blur. We can turn this off here, we can pull this across, we can go into our environment and just turn this up a little bit. We can turn our roughness down, turn the roughness down here. We can add a HDRI, so just adding a HDRI, we can turn it down a little bit. We can also add a volume, principled volume, turn the density down, something like 0.02. We can turn the strength up of our screens, and for our bench, turn the roughness down, so we can select all of our objects and link materials. So obviously we've got our tube station, advertising board kind of thing. Go into the camera, go into viewport display, and just turn this up. I think we can rotate the camera on the X a little bit and just bring it in. I did not realise that they weren't aligned to the ceiling. I think we can probably just scale this up. Yeah. So we've got our moody environment. We can maybe turn our HDRI up a little bit, like so. Just see how that's working. Okay, now we need to add some surface imperfections to actually get that grungy, dirty feeling. So in material, wherever it is, we're gonna go edit, preferences, go node wrangler, Control T, and we're gonna plug that into the roughness, and we're just going to add a roughness map of something like concrete or some sort of material that we like. I want to make sure this is plugged into the Eevee as well. So just go and add our material, something like that, and we're going to pull this out and add a color ramp and just drag it in basically. Drag this in, and then on this one we're just going to control and just scroll down, and we're just going to flip these colors. So we can just select this and just pull this up and down, until we like it, and we can scale this up or down depending on what we like, and we can just do the same for the floor as well. We might want a different material, so if we go into we can add a surface imperfection like scratches maybe, it might give a different feeling, and we can just add a color ramp and bring this down a little bit. And yeah, you can build these textures up, make them look really nice. So we can duplicate this here, the entire material, and then add shader, and then on the texture coordinates we can just rotate one of them like that. So yeah, obviously the more you mess around with this, the more photorealism you're going to get, and you can really build this up into something that is extremely detailed just by mixing materials and textures. So yeah, you know, you can really mess with this and make something that really speaks to the project. But yeah, this is just kind of like an overview. So we've talked about modeling here, we've talked about materials, we've talked about different environments and how you can use animations to show your environment, you know. But yeah, I guess I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys soon.